Hello, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. I hope this is more clear for everyone that is viewing. So, welcome to this session, which is Ask the Expert series from the Stellar Woman magazine. My name is Stella Olivia Kikoyo, and I'm the editor in chief of here to bring you thriving women stories, knowledge, and experiences so that you too can learn one or two things which thrive in your life. We believe that knowledge is power. Of course, if it is acted upon, knowledge can help to alleviate pain, knowledge can help to change perspectives and create new possibilities for people. And we focus on women because we know that once a woman is empowered, she can be able to change her life, change the life of her family, her community, and the world, of course, at large will be able to change. So move light in form of knowledge. In that way, we are able to brighten up the world. So today, I'm honored and to be having the one and only Monica Bradley, who is the founder and MD of MBA Associates, which is a financial services firm here in Surrey in the UK. Monica focuses on empowering clients to become more financially able and be able to sustain their lives and create wealth for themselves and for their loved ones. And she runs an award-winning mortgage advising, and she is a financial expert in this area. So her goal, of course, as I said already, is to empower people financially, and she has been running her firm for over 25 years. Her firm covers several areas, including mortgages, life insurance, pension, investments, and just name it. So she's here today to answer your questions regarding money management. And if you're like me, is a key subject in all our lives that can help to change your own life. And I'm ready and excited to create change in my life and all my quite open to get the new knowledge that I capture from Monica. Before we do open up to all of you who are excited be able to streaming from Facebook. Some of you are on Facebook, some of you are on Twitter, YouTube, and here on LinkedIn. I would like to welcome Monica and to ask Monica to introduce herself and to tell us more about what she does and the type of clients she serves. Welcome, Monica.
Hi, Stella, and good afternoon and good evening, and good morning if we've got people all around the world listening, which is quite exciting in itself. My name, as Stella has said, is Monica Bradley. I'm the founder of MB Associates. We deal with clients up and down the country. So, although we've got offices in Surrey, we deal with clients nationwide. We talk to people, we advise people on purchasing properties, remortgaging their properties, making sure that they are fully aware of the interest rate they're paying on their mortgages for the lifetime of their mortgage. And we obviously look at people with regards to an investment type mortgages, so buy to let, people to invest in property, which is a really big thing now. We talk to people about financially protecting themselves, so making sure that they're financially secure in all circumstances, so that whether people rent or whether people buy, we could keep them in their homes. So that's a big part of our job. We've got some trusted business partners that will obviously look at anything other than pensions and investments, so all areas of money, because Stella, they're all linked together.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you for that great introduction. So we are calling all of you to be ready to send in your questions. And if you're on Facebook, don't afraid. We are just waiting to get questions in regarding money management, and also Twitter the same, and here on LinkedIn. And of course, we shall try our best to get onto YouTube. So we apologize for the technical problems that we faced before, but we are now ready to stream, and I hope you have been able to stay tuned. So I have my own question, and I've just been waiting for this exact moment. And I know if you have already emailed us a few questions that we are going to be able to give to Monica. So, question, because we are all at different levels of status score, and some of us think that money issues maybe people of a certain level don't have any issues to do with money, and other people think that maybe those who are below, maybe they don't know how to deal with money. But I want to ask, please share with us in your own experience, and is there any common issue when it comes to money to people, whether they are of a high, middle, or lower income or social status?
I guess one of the feelings I get from pretty much every typical client or any client is that they want to be in control. They want to feel financially secure. So it doesn't really matter at what level you're at. I think the majority of people want to feel like they're in a position to be able to pay their bills on a monthly basis. So not having any concerns, because obviously with concerns comes so many other issues. So being financially secure now and in the future is really fundamental, I think, to wherever people are in their journey.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for that. So we all want the same. We all want to feel secure, want to feel that bit of control. Thank you. Now, I've been honored to actually host Monica for one of our women's events to teach us more about the financial well-being. And one of the things you once mentioned was to do with APR, and it stayed with me, and I kept thinking, okay, I need to work on this. So I want to know more about what that means and why we should pay attention to APR.
So you're just asking about what APR is and why you should pay attention to it. And
yes,
it's a really good question, actually.
Yeah.
So basically, whatever borrowing anybody's doing, and whether this is on a mortgage or a credit card or a loan, you'll see advertised a rate that says APR. Now, that really is the annual percentage rate. And what that does is it takes into consideration the actual overall cost, not just the interest rate you're paying. So any fees or any charges, that APR will give you the true percentage of what you're really paying. Because sometimes you might be borrowing and there could be some loans, there could be some fees added to the loans. So APR just is the annual percentage rate, and it's an important thing because it takes into consideration the whole costs involved.
So it's all about compounding the costs that are within, not the interest rate.
It's showing you the overall cost on an annual basis. That's what that rate is. So it's taking into consideration not just the interest rate, any charges that are incurred in the borrowing.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that.
So it's the overall rate.
Good. Thank you for that. I think it helped me. I hope it helped someone else. As I'm trying to follow up any questions that we could be getting at this moment, but let me go to another question that came in from someone else, and I think it's really a good question. And that is, it's to do with, let me just, it's here, it's open. If an individual to do with maths, and we every time they think about figures, they freak out. Where can they start from? Because that is their issue. Anything to do with figures just makes them nervous.
Okay. So I'm just going to repeat that, Stella, to make sure I'm actually getting the right question. So somebody's saying anything to do with figures frightens them with regards to their own finances. Is that right?
So when it comes to talking about financial management, it's just that they don't like maths and they don't like anything to do with figures. But now here we are telling them to talk about figures anyway, because math is numbers here. So where can they start from? How can they be empowered to start the journey of having a positive attitude towards the numbers and the figures they deal with, because they have to deal with the money?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so I think before anybody starts on a journey of wanting to perhaps build wealth, because they have to be in a position where they know exactly where they are with their own finances. So I often say to people, you just need to really get your head around each and every transaction that really goes through our bank accounts, because a lot of people don't actually start there. So, and I think you said at the opening, Stella, knowledge is key. And really, 80% is knowledge. So and there are so many things you can learn. There is so many things online. And really, I'd say it's about understanding the word interest and understanding what that really means, because once you get your head around that and you can see and you know what you're paying every month, and people will charge you interest if you're borrowing money. So it's about understanding exactly what you're paying. So once you get to that point, I think, of really taking on and understanding exactly where you are, then, and understanding your finances, you can really then look to budget and maybe then put some money aside to start building wealth. But you can't do that without knowing where you're at.
You cannot. Oh, great. Thank you. So you have to know where you are at this particular point. Anyway.
Very much so. It's really important to actually and question, don't be frightened to question what it is you're paying for, because I see that time and time again. And I think you should all go through your bank account at once every 6 months and do a bank account cleanse, like we should do with our bodies as much as we should do with our finances, is cleanse that and go through your bank account to see, just in case, because people forget that they're paying for something. You wouldn't believe how many people I ask what it is they're paying for and they can't remember.
End up thinking that we're almost not supposed to ask.
Yeah, and I mean, and that's ludicrous, isn't it? Because it's our own money, so we work very hard to accumulate that money, so we shouldn't be frightened about quizzing and asking questions around it.
I love it. I love it. I love the bank account cleanse. So I hope all our viewers here on Facebook, LinkedIn, you're going to think about the bank account cleanse. So at least 6 months, every 6 months, you should be able to do that. And do not be afraid of figures. Do not be afraid of questions, but also paying attention to interest, to the interest rates. I think many of us do not. So that is quite important, and that's a key aspect that I've picked up here, especially the bank account cleansing. So hopefully we are not only thinking about cleansing our faces, cleansing our bodies, we are actually thinking about cleansing our bank as well. So thank you for that, Monica. So I'll look through several any other question here before I look through Facebook to see what we have. taxes. So the other question we got via email was that taxes are so confusing and that many people, the HMRC or the tax authorities, to do the right thing. How can one be sure that they have the right tax code? And if they find that there was a mistake, do they get their money?
Well, one thing's for sure is we can't rely on the Inland Revenue to keep a monthly check on what everybody gets paid. That simply just isn't going to happen. So, and what I would say is that it is simply the responsibility of the individual to, so if anybody's got any concerns when they get paid, whether it be PAYE, and they're concerned about their tax code, they've really got to ask an expert as to if it's right, because one thing is that the revenue will simply ask for the interest back if there has been a mistake, and obviously that mistake can build up over years. So realistically, it is all our responsibilities, not the revenue, to inform us. They'll only inform us if we've underpaid, and then of course they'll want the money back. So there isn't an easy answer here, is it? If whether or not you know you're taxed at the right tax coding is really important, and it's down to you to do your own research. And if, as I say, if anyone's concerned, don't be afraid to pick up maybe the finance department if they're employed, or obviously maybe an accountant to get it checked out.
Okay, definitely. Thank you for that. So it's more responsibility. So you can hear that. If that was your question, or if you had it at the back of your mind, we want you to go out and take responsibility, find help, professional help, accountant if need be, but take responsibility to ensure that you have the right tax code. So
yeah, it's really important, Stella, because just on that, I'll just jump in a minute, because some people might have heard a few years ago that they changed the way family benefit was paid. So if you were over a certain salary, you didn't qualify for that. And that hit quite a lot of people, where they were getting bills later on for money that actually they were still getting benefits. So they've had to pay that back, and with interest sometimes. So unfortunately, it's back to the word knowledge, is to really try and keep abreast of what's happening and any changes, because obviously we get budgets and budget can change things. So try and keep knowledgeable, because it can affect you in the long term, because fundamentally it's all our own responsibility to make sure that we are taking care of the right taxes, not the revenue's responsibility.
Okay, that's great. That's great, Nika. Let's see if we have. So today, one of the key problems, or the key elephants in the house, is bills. Is there anything that one can do today to help themselves instead of crying out loud, crying about it, warning about it? What is your advice when it comes to bills? Because everybody's talking about the bills going up. What can we do today?
Okay, so again, this is all about taking absolute control and understanding, because there is just so much talk, isn't there, all over every form of media, every news, at the moment is about the cost of living and our bills going up. And it's actually really frightening some people. I think it's a form of, it's causing people sort of stress. And one thing to do is to not bury your head and wait till October, when we see utility bills in the UK going to unprecedented costs. So I think obviously there's an awful lot of political chat going on about that. But in terms of individuals, it's about being aware. And if you think you're going to have a difficulty, it's facing it up front. So it's actually being prepared. And going back to really what I said a few questions ago, is about looking at your individual budgets, because there are things sometimes you can do if you feel like you are going to struggle with perhaps the increases in certain food or certain bills. So it's being prepared, and then obviously if there is anything that can be done in terms of your mortgage, if you've got, speak to a mortgage broker who might be able to extend the term of the loan in terms of reducing your monthly payments. So it really is, again, very similar answer, Stella, in taking control of your own finances and making sure that there isn't a perception. But I'd also say a lot of people try and ignore what they hear because it can cause a little bit of stress and worry, and people's anxiety levels get raised when they hear all this bad news that's coming. But I just would, try and encourage people to try and really take on board and see what it means again, see what that means to you in terms of what it's going to mean into your own individual pockets, because it will make a difference. Obviously, we've got rising interest rates, that's been talked about. So people's costs when they're coming off a current rate will go up, and therefore just again, really, I go back to saying that cleanse on your bank account just to see what you really are paying, because every little pound can add to other pounds and add towards the cost of living increases.
Okay, that's a good down for everyone, and I hope you're able to you've been able to learn that. So we are here. So I would like our viewers to know that you can ask your question, please. Say your question, and we shall be able to plug them here for Monica to be able to answer those questions. I can hear you say hello, Stella, hello, Monica. So I have to, there's no question yet for this. I have to just see if there's any questions here live. We want to be able to answer them and ensure that you go out fully knowledgeable, or at least have an answer to any of the questions you have regarding money management. So I will, in the meantime, before that comes up, we'll see if we have, I don't know if people just not comfortable to ask. Oh, this is a user from YouTube. Okay, I didn't know about this. Okay, these are not anything to do with so
No, they're not. I would just ignore them.
yeah, they are not to do with the life, definitely. Let's see, let me refresh. So as we wait, Monica, I refresh, I will just keep asking you another. So when it comes to savings, what does one need to know or to do that is really important that you see maybe people are negligent about that particular aspect when it comes to saving? Because sometimes we just think, it could be a mechanism, there could be something that everyone here could be able to take away and make a change when it comes to their savings.
Okay, I thought you were saying when it comes to their selling. So basically, what can they take away when it comes to savings? And I'm going to say, really, the answer to that is you can only really start looking at saving and when you're in control of your budget. So I'd say if you're in a position then to start building wealth, then you've obviously taken care of your own loans and credit cards. So once you start taking control of your individual finances and understanding, then you must set a budget. So set a budget. And I think the thing I would say is get that money out of your bank. So set it aside so it comes out and goes, even if it goes into another bank account, because then you've actually allowed it in your monthly budgets. And that's how you can start saving. It has to become a routine. It has to become part of your monthly outgoings as much as your rent or your mortgage will be.
Okay, that's good. So we have to just make it a monthly obligation almost. So
very much so, yeah.
It's not just an option, it's something you need every month.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if it's you know, something that people can save a month, or but disciplined enough to do that, or do a lump sum. But you know, a lot of people like to do it on a monthly basis, so therefore that they can budget for it. So this whole kind of story has been about budgeting, and once you're in that position to be able to start saving, then you've got to build a knowledge as to the different types of savings there are out there, but you've got to get to that position first.
Okay, that's wonderful. Thank you very much. We have a question from Rita here. Thank you, Rita. And I don't know, good afternoon. I hope you're well. So Rita is asking, what is your take on the new phenomenon of cryptocurrencies?
So many people ask me this question, and so many people ask lots of financial experts, and I think they're all answered the same, because risk, I'd say risky. And it's as simple as that, because I can't comment on, there are so many different types of cryptocurrencies, aren't there? So it's not one for me to answer. It's because of the risk. So research if you're going to do it. That's all I will say, but it's a very high risk. And you certainly want to balance risk.
I hope Rita has been able to take that. This is risky and you need to research it, and maybe any other person could benefit from that. I definitely have benefited from that question and your answer, because I have this idea, why is everybody talking about this, and do I have to learn and incorporate into my so that I'm like everybody, or so that I can thrive? So it's a good question. Thank you, Rita. And thank you, Monica, for the response. So we need to research. It's risky here. Okay, do more research. So Rita has another question. What does a realistic budget look like?
Well, once you get, I mean, whenever we're doing budget planners with clients, we're really looking at your overall costs. So everybody's costs are different. So it's taking control. Again, it's looking at your own individual outgoings each month, and to see just what you are paying for. And once you're in that realistic, you've looked at your own budget and you understand your budget and you understand where your money's going to, then at that point you can look to build that bit of wealth I was talking about. But there really isn't a realistic looking budget, because it really depends upon what your costs are. You need to look at what you're spending and what you need and what you have to have, but not necessarily what you want to have. It's needs and wants, isn't it, when we come to budget? So really, realistically, if you're just trying to budget to save to purchase a property, to save to buy an investment property, you have to budget first. And that budget really can look like anything, but providing you're aware of everything you pay, I think, is just being knowledge. Your knowledge is key here.
Your knowledge is key here. Yeah. So there we are. Rita, I hope you've been able to be satisfied with that response. We are grateful for your question. Thank you very much for bringing it out, and I'm sure many will benefit from it. And yes, you can keep able to help us to answer, to be able to benefit. I benefit, other people will be able to benefit as well. And if you miss this live stream, it's all going to be here, stored on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. So let me just check if we have Any other question before we move on? So if there are two, this is also a question we got in advance, if there are two individuals who are about to start their lives to have different spending habits, and money as a topic does not easily, what should they do? Where should they start from, or if they're going to start their lives together?
Oh, say that again, that last bit, Stella, please.
Sorry, I just have something here. Two individuals are about, but they have different spending habits, and money as a topic doesn't flow easily between them. What should they do, or where should they start to make things better for themselves?
Yeah, that is in my everyday in terms of advising people on their mortgages. It is quite a question, and it is quite a phrase that comes up between maybe one person. So what I would say is, if they're thinking of setting out together, really is to have a really open conversation with it. So somebody might be, perhaps somebody's a little bit better at the organization in terms of your finances. So I think it's about being really open from the outset, and simple things such as maybe a bank account for your household bills, which you share and they come out of. So your own individual bank maybe, but a joint account to allow for the costs and your monthly direct debits to come out of. But unless you talk openly about it, then you could be in trouble. So I think openness at the beginning, on the start of that journey, is key.
So openness is key here. We can see that. I hope the person who sent that question is able to just benefit. I don't know how easy openness is for them, but hopefully they're able to understand how that can help them to actually move together as a couple. Another question we have, family situation. A family that has decided to invest in property, in a property, like property, and they're divided into a situation on whether to just do an extension, subdivide their own home, or to actually remortgage and be able to just go out and invest in a buy-to-let. What do you think is the best scenario here in terms of?
I mean, really, it's a big question, that, because it's, are you wanting to extend your own home in terms of making it a bigger and a, have more space for you and your families to live in, versus what can you do to go and purchase a property to maybe invest, so to rent out? And they're two entirely different things. So I think the question is, again, it's to seek expert advice, because it depends what you're doing it for, isn't it? If you're doing it to improve your lifestyle in your own house, or are you doing it to improve your wealth, or your long-term goal is to build some wealth, and therefore maybe a buy-to-let property is the option. So really seek a mortgage advisor's advice on that, Stella, because it depends really what they're doing it for. But certainly if it's an investment property, then you're gonna you should get some income from that, but you need to be aware of the costings involved. So yeah, individual personal circumstances come into this. So I think it's about seeing an expert in the field.
Oh, thank you for that. I've had you before talk about proportioning, that is savings, expenses, savings, and maybe luxury or fun money. What are these proportions in terms of percentage? What kind of fraction can one have that is supposed to be going out of their income to save, to expenses, to maybe holiday or fun money? What proportion would you advise? And maybe investment?
I think once anybody takes control, I mean, when I see people and they take control and they really do budget, I do see some people keeping really great spreadsheets on their outgoings every month, and therefore it's very easy to see what you can put aside to go towards the wonderful things in life, such as going on holiday, and then you can really budget as to how much you want to spend on your holidays, how much do you want to spend on your future and building your wealth. And I think there really isn't a right answer here, but it's about saying, okay, how much are you paying for your everyday costs? And I think that's the fear going forward here with you know, everything that's being talked about is the cost of living. So people, once you get your spreadsheet together or your budget, some form of budget, and they're all over the, you know, they're so easy to access online now. There's so much knowledge and things that can help you with this. So really, it's just I wouldn't give us a particular percentage. I would just say, if you take control of every single thing you're paying on a monthly basis, you should then be able to say, no, I don't want this, but yes, I'm going to put that towards that. And it's putting that money aside.
Thank you. So it's generally making sure you're paying attention to everything in detail, and just becoming aware and having that control. Eventually, is it the question I wanted to ask, is it like, there a proportion that, okay, 10, you shouldn't go beyond 30% on your expenses from your income, or you shouldn't do, is there anything, is there a formula for that?
I've seen different types of formulas, and I think I've seen, and certainly in terms of what you borrow, you shouldn't go above a certain percentage, because then you end up paying, who are you paying back? You're paying thousands of pounds in interest. So I think it's about understanding about interest in terms of what people are borrowing, and interest, your interest understanding on how you save money, and they're two very different things. So there isn't there isn't a particular percentage, Stella.
Okay, there isn't a particular percentage. All right, thank you for that. I've been able to, I don't know if this is coming from YouTube. I think it is. I think, is it Rita who has gone to YouTube? Yes, still from Rita. Yeah, I think she's saying she's actually on YouTube, streaming from YouTube. I didn't know that I could access questions from YouTube. They are not actually on LinkedIn. So Rita is saying, what would you consider as a good credit score, and how bad is it if I don't pay off my car every month?
I mean, what I would say again is, in terms of a credit score, it depends what you're referring to in terms of what is a good credit score, because there is, if somebody's applying for a loan, you can have a credit score, and a lender, whenever you're borrowing money, will obviously perform a credit search, because they need to check that, you know, what's your payment history like. So in terms of, if I don't pay your credit cards off every month, I mean, the big thing with credit cards is they're not really credit cards, are they? They're debt cards. So they are basically funding. So if you end up paying interest on them, you're paying a huge amount of interest back. So as long as you pay back your card every month, that won't affect the credit rating. But if you miss a payment, it will affect your credit rating, and that can affect your borrowing capacity whenever you come to borrow. So what I would say to that, Rita, is that just make sure you can, even if it's you're paying back the minimum amount, again, understand what it means in terms of interest and how much interest you're paying. Because if you're not on a 0% interest with a credit card, and you're not paying back every month, you're going to be charged high amounts of interest for the money you've actually taken off a card. I never call them credit cards. I know that's what everybody knows them as, but they're actually debt cards. I prefer them to call that. And if you look at them like that, you'll probably have a very different view on them.
Very good. Thank you. I hope, Rita, your question has been answered. I know you're on YouTube, and yeah, it's flagged here. I thought it's only LinkedIn correctly here. It's so good that we to into questions, and I don't know how much time Monica has for us now as I try to let me take it to some of the because I have to just read them. Okay. So for those who are interested with interest rates going up, what is your best advice today? Should someone take that step, or are they supposed to hold on for the moment?
So your question was about interest rates going up?
Yes, with the interest rates going up, and for those, it's an individual who's interested in buying property. Are
Okay.
they? What is this the right time, or should they actually hold on?
I mean,
Before
I
they
think
make
again, I think it's pretty. It's all, isn't it? It's all over the news and all over social media that interest rates are going up, and interest rates have gone up, and there's obviously very many reasons for that. So realistically, if you're looking to purchase a property, or or you've got a mortgage at the moment, what I would say is to really look at where you are with it, where your mortgage is at the moment, if you're fixed into a deal, and when does it finish. So you need to talk to a really, a mortgage broker. But basically, should you buy? Well, you should buy if you've done your sums and you've done your budget. And I think what I would say to anybody at the moment that's perhaps looking to buy is to really factor in an interest rate rise. It's what the banks do when they're lending people money. They factor in over and above that interest rate. And I think everybody should actually say, right, okay, this is what, when you've spoken to an advisor, this is what you're going to pay now. But what if I ended up paying 2 or 3% more? What would that look like to my monthly costs? And if you feel that you can do that, then purchase. But I think it's about understanding where you are at the moment. What is it like if interest rates continue to rise, which they probably are going to? What will that look like, and what will that mean to you on a monthly basis? So it's individual, but it's being aware again. It really is being aware of, and I think stress test your own budgets at higher interest rates than what you are being offered at the moment, in case there are further increases.
Okay, to what extent you can be able to, you said stress test, is that what you said?
That's what you can call it, but stress your borrowing at different interest rates. And then that gives you an idea of what, instead of it being a shock to you, just do your preparation beforehand. Because if somebody's wondering whether they should buy now or should they rent, and rentals have gone up as well, but it's about being aware of increases in the future, because we've had low interest rates, and obviously they are now on the move up.
Oh, thank you very much. So that stress testing also it's like hedging. Is it like, what would that be in? It's like you're estimating. Sorry, I'm looking for the word in thing where we actually put like a cover an amount that is going to cover just in case your costs go up. So it's almost, you almost mean that. So just in case interest rates go up, to ensure that you can be able to deal with situations. Isn't that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think I heard that. I think it's, I mean, look, I think it's difficult, isn't it? Because a lot of people have been on very low interest rates, and anybody's fixed rate might be coming to an end. they're going to find that their new rate with their existing bank or new bank is going to be higher. So they're going to have an increase, whatever happens. So I think it's, if going back to your original question, is should somebody look at, if they're concerned about interest rates rising, and they're wondering whether to purchase or not, I think the advice I would give is really look at what it is that's going to cost them now. So they need to check that with a broker, mortgage broker, or and then, as I say, let them give you the figures based upon increased higher rates, so that you're prepared and you know that you can afford that.
Okay, thank you. I know we are running tight on time, and your time is quite precious. Thank you. But I'll just ask this one question, which is your savings. When do I start saving for retirement? I think, at what point do you decide to focus on pension? I think that's what the question means.
I mean, one of the things you need to do with regards to pensions, it's one thing that I think a lot of people ignore, and you need to seek advice from a pension advisor. But basically, this is a big thing that people tend to, maybe they've joined companies and they've left companies and they've got different pensions from all over the place. And I'd say it's fundamental. This is a really big area where people really need to just not ignore them and leave them and expecting them to be, in good funds. You have to go and seek independent financial advice for them and get them. And your experts will then actually gather all your pension details together, and then they'll be able to advise you. But it's really important you do that, because you could be losing out on thousands. And I think saving for your retirement, well, as soon as you can, I'd say, is the answer to that. As soon as you absolutely can, because the longer you can save, the better, and the much better interest rate. Because there's something called, I did say to everybody, learn about compound interest. The sooner the better, because the longer it takes to grow, the more and more you're going to have. And that sounds pretty obvious, but when you learn about compounded interest, you'll see a big growth. So the sooner the better you can put away for retirement is really key.
That's amazing. And I think I've heard of that as well. So the earlier you start, the better. A person who starts at 25 and is saving little is going to be better than a person that's saving a large amount of money. So you have to start immediately. So thank you very much for that question. Start now, or you should have started yesterday. So you have to actually start and for your retirement. That was a good question that was brought up, actually. And how you summed it up, Monica, was very good for me, because I had it at the back of my mind. And once you to of all pension funds, I thought, oh my goodness, this is it. I really needed this question to be answered. So thank you very much for that. Yeah, I hope everyone, this is asking the same question. The question is about cryptocurrency, and I think we answered it already. I think it's also coming from YouTube, and yeah, about cryptocurrency. And as Monica told us already, this is it's a high-risk area, and you need your research about it. So Monica, before you leave us, I have a question, and it's to do just a message for everyone who's viewing. And I thank you all, our viewers. It's good to have you all here, just being with us to learn more about money management to make a difference in lives. We're here to ensure that you thrive, and we move knowledge. We bring you experts, and one of our Stellar Women magazine in the Money and Business section is Monica Bradley. So Monica, what is the one message that you can give time that they can take away and make a difference in their lives today? Something that everyone's listening, whether you ever started anything to do with money or you're really advanced, what is it that we can take today and make a change in our lives?
I'd probably say, I think the mere fact if you're starting to think about it, it's about putting your financial strategy in place, and really make sure that you've got your protection in place as well to protect your income. So whilst you're working and you're trying to build wealth, just make sure that you've got protection in place so that in the event of unforeseens, not being able to work for whatever reason, off sick, I'd say just make sure that you're protected, because it's really important to protect your money whilst you're earning money. And obviously at the same point, you put a strategy in place so that you're ready and you want to start saving, because if you don't address that, you'll never do it. So I think it's starting from day one and taking control of everything in your bank and knowing what you're paying for, understanding interest. Then you're in the right direction, because once you understand interest, you can see the value of saving. So there's a few things there, but they're really important things. Protect what you've got at the minute whilst you're building, and whilst you're building and maybe paying off your mortgages, maybe you're renting, but just make sure that your income's protected and your loved ones are protected, and then you can go from there in terms of building your wealth.
Oh, thank you very much. That was a good sum. We have a lot to do today, and I think it's something that you can do. You have to believe in yourself, and you have to no one who's going to take these steps for you. Like Monica said, we have to take control. We have to make the steps to make this change. I'm asking, how do we get that protection? Where do we get the protection? Who do we contact to get the income protection or savings protection?
Well, it's something that I think a lot of people always, if you say the word protection, it doesn't always mean anything to a lot of people. But I think if I was to say, well, if many people have got a mobile phone, do you insure your mobile phone? Yes, you do. Many people have wonderful pets at home, and do they have pet insurance? Yes, they do. And so basically, do you insure your income? So what happens if you suddenly lost your job? What happens if you couldn't work? What happens? Do you know all these things? And this is all what I was saying. So really, if a mortgage advisor or a protection advisor, we can help you with making sure that you've got the right insurances in place. And it's really important to look at that, because you need to look at what you would get if you didn't have that. And without your, not being able to work, you need to be at replacing that income. So it's important to seek advice.
Okay, so thank you. So that's a mortgage advisor or a protection advisor, is that what you say?
It depends if they're protection qualified, yes. Some mortgage advisors are, they're not all, but a protection expert. We've got some here at MB Associates if anybody needs to have us look at it, but we've got specialists who really look into every area of that for people.
Okay. Sorry much, Monica. We had a few more questions, but we shall be able to get your questions from whatever platform and send them to Monica to them, and we shall get back to you with her responses. And maybe if you missed the initial part, you could be able to get some of the answers from the initial part of this actual session. So my name is Stella Olivia Kikoya, and I'm the editor-in-chief of the Stella Woman magazine. So we're going to round off today's session, which is Ask the Expert session, which is questions. So I hope many of your questions have been answered, and if you leave a comment on LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook, and we shall be able to liaise with Monica and see what response she has for those questions. So Monica Bradley is the founder, as I said before, and the MD for MB Associates. She is not only just based in Surrey, that's physical, but her services across the UK. So you can have your questions, or you can approach you can find you. And also, what's the next chapter for MBA Associates?
Did you just ask me what's the next chapter with MB
What could be
Associates?
the next thing that is going on? That because we are all about always inspiring. So this is where you are. You've given us information. What's going on next, T? But also, where can people find you as we sum up?
Sorry, Stella, I'm so sorry. It's a bit crackly again, but I think where can people find us? We obviously can go on www.mbassociates.net is our website, and all our contact details are on there. So anybody can fire a question in via there if they want. And obviously there's our telephone number on there. We are on LinkedIn and Facebook. So there is different areas to get in, and I think did you ask me where we were going with MB Associates?
Yes, is there anything that we can also know that, okay, this is an organization going here just for inspiration,
Well, we're certainly a growing company. We're just opening another mortgage shop in Surrey, so that will be opened over the next month, and yeah, we're a growing business, so new advisors, real good experts in the field. So obviously we're doing something right here, because we've got such an expanding business with people wanting advice, some of my amazing advisors. So watch out for us. You'll see us lots more.
Okay, that's thank you very much, Monica. And that's Rita, who say thank you so much.
Thanks,
and there's
Rita.
another person, Fifi, who is also saying thank you very much for answering her question. So we have been grateful for your time and for sharing your knowledge and your expertise in this area of money management. So we thank you so much for all of you who have tuned in, and we continue bring you experts in this area of money and business, but we also run the mind, body, that was more May, and if you them, you can still tap into them on LinkedIn and Facebook plus Twitter, and also actually YouTube. So don't forget, if you've just come on and all of a sudden feel that you're going to miss out on this, actually this is going to be left stored here on LinkedIn, and you can tap into it, and also on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We shall be able to leave them there. So until next time, we wish you all the best. Have a great weekend. Goodbye from me and Monica.
And goodbye from me.
So, thank you all. Bye-bye. Bye. Bye.